Hi, this is Tony at Owen Powered Access. Let's do a quick video about this Nifty F170. When you do your pre-use checks and inspections, you'll go around, generally speaking, and make sure that all the pivot pins and retaining bolts are tight. If you come under the basket, you'll find under this section of the basket, this bolt here will be loose. That shouldn't be a concern to you, and I'll explain why. These machines around here have a load cell fitted, and that load cell lives in here. I'll show you better in a minute, and that sends a signal to printer circuit board in here, and that determines how much weight is in the basket. How that does that is, I come around here, the main boom that extends out, the top arm comes to here, the boom self levels through this bracket here, and pivot pin at the bottom. The load cell then sits between here, bolted with these 4 bolts, through into the load cell, and then the basket itself is bolted through with these 4 bolts here on the other side of the load cell. And the load cell works, it's a piece of aluminium, and you can see it's got grooves machined through it, or slots cutting it more accurately. You can't see, but further up in there there's even more of it missing, which will be a bit disconcerting. But how that works is it actually flexes with the load in the basket. You put 2 people in there, say 200 kilos or thereabouts, that flexes by a small amount, and the printed circuit board takes the signals from that movement, which is science, which is more complicated than I understand. But anyway, there's a bit of flex in this, and that can measure that very small flex, and that sort of calculates what weight's in the basket, and that can be set to, well, 200 kilos is the set amount for this particular machine. I've got a plug-in tool that sets that higher or lower, but 200 is the correct amount. Right, so that flexes, so that means, well, that means absolute worst case, if that was to break, the basket is attached to one side of it. If it breaks, the boom in the other section is bolted on the other side of it. So this bolt that comes through here is loose, but you'd almost call that the Jesus bolt, and I'll tell you for why. Because through here, where that comes through, you see it's bolted through the cage. It's actually bolted through the steel work of the main structural pivot point that attaches to the boom at the bottom here. So should this load cell break or part company, this single M10 bolt keeps the bit you're standing on and the bit that's holding you up from coming apart. So have I ever seen one of these break? No. Have I ever seen one damaged? No. But people do some strange things on construction sites and other places. This could have been knocked, hung up during tree surgery. People could use it as a crane or do all sorts of stupid things they shouldn't do with it, and overload this piece of aluminium. In that very rare circumstance, this bolt, which is loose and allows enough movement for everything to work, but it's not so loose that it wouldn't catch you in the event of a fall. So there we are. That's why when you're doing your pre-use checks and you find something loose, particularly this one, that's perfectly normal, and as it should be.